You don't feel it. There's no pain, no fever, no swelling. But right now, inside your body, there's a fire burning. And it has been burning for years. And according to the research, it's one of the primary reasons people age faster than they should.
When most people think about inflammation, they think about something obvious: a swollen joint, a sore throat, a cut that turns red. That kind of inflammation you can feel. And that's the point. Your body is telling you something is wrong so you can deal with it. But there's a completely different kind of inflammation that researchers have been studying for the past 2 decades. It doesn't hurt. It has no visible symptoms. Your annual blood work almost certainly doesn't check for it. And a 2026 study published in Frontiers in Aging found that this silent inflammation, measured through markers like CRP, IL-6, and TNF-alpha, is directly linked to muscle loss, cognitive decline, hormonal breakdown, and accelerated biological aging in adults over 50. Scientists have a name for it: inflammaging. It's a combination of the words inflammation and aging, because the research now shows they are not separate processes. They are the same process. And across this series, we've been building toward this moment, because everything we've covered in the last 3 videos feeds directly into it. My name is Dr. Nathan Cole. This is Hidden Health Protocol. Let's connect the dots. Let me explain what inflammaging actually is, because the concept is simple once you see it clearly. Imagine your immune system as a security guard. Its job is to detect threats, viruses, bacteria, damaged cells, activate a response, neutralize the threat, and then stand down. That's normal, healthy inflammation. It turns on, it does its job, it turns off. Inflammaging is what happens when the security guard never fully stands down. The threat level drops, but the alarm stays on at a low level, constantly, for years. Not loud enough to notice, but loud enough to cause damage. That low-level, constant alarm is what produces the inflammatory molecules researchers measure: CRP, or C-reactive protein, IL-6, or interleukin-6, TNF-alpha. These are not exotic laboratory concepts. They are proteins your body produces when it believes it's under threat. And in inflammaging, your body produces them continuously at low levels, without an actual threat to fight. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Investigation confirmed that these markers, particularly IL-6 and TNF-alpha, are detected in all elderly individuals at elevated levels, and the higher those levels, the faster the biological aging process accelerates. The alarm doesn't hurt, but it's consuming resources your body needs for everything else.
So what does this constant low-level inflammation actually do to your body? Let me be specific, because this is where the research gets genuinely alarming. First, your muscles. A 2026 study in Frontiers in Aging found a direct correlation between elevated CRP and IL-6 levels and sarcopenia, the medical term for age-related muscle loss. The inflammation interferes with the signaling pathways that trigger muscle protein synthesis. You can lift weights consistently and still lose muscle faster than you should if your inflammaging markers are high. Second, your brain. Longitudinal data from the English Longitudinal Study of Aging found that adults with persistently elevated CRP over a 10-year period showed significantly worse cognitive performance and higher rates of cognitive impairment than those with stable low CRP. The mechanism is direct. Inflammatory molecules cross the blood-brain barrier and disrupt the neural circuits involved in memory, focus, and processing speed. Third, your hormones. This one matters particularly for men over 35. Chronic elevation of IL-6 and TNF-alpha has been shown to suppress Leydig cell function, the cells in the testes responsible for producing testosterone. This is not a primary hormonal problem. It's an inflammatory problem that presents as a hormonal problem, which is exactly why treating only the testosterone doesn't fix it. Fourth, your heart. Elevated CRP is one of the strongest independent predictors of cardiovascular events, separate from cholesterol, separate from blood pressure. A low-grade inflammatory environment accelerates the formation of arterial plaques and reduces the elasticity of blood vessel walls. One fire, 4 systems, all burning simultaneously, all quietly, all without symptoms you can point to. Why does this happen at this specific window? 2 enzymes are responsible. PARPs increase their activity to repair accumulating DNA damage, consuming NAD+ in the process. CD38, part of your body's inflammatory response, also rises with age and consumes NAD+ as a side effect. It's a resource allocation problem. Your body has more repair work to do and the same NAD+ budget to do it with. Something has to give, and what gives, first and most noticeably, is your energy.
Here's where it gets practical, because if inflammaging is real, and the evidence is overwhelming that it is, then you should be able to measure it. And you can, with a standard blood test. The problem is that most standard panels don't include these markers. You have to ask for them specifically. The first marker is high-sensitivity CRP, also called hs-CRP. This is not the standard CRP test. The standard CRP test is designed to detect acute infections and acute inflammation. It's a blunt instrument. High-sensitivity CRP is calibrated to detect the low-level chronic inflammation that the standard test misses entirely. Optimal levels for longevity research, below 1 milligram per liter. Most labs consider anything under 10 normal. The gap between those two numbers is where inflammaging lives. The second marker is IL-6, interleukin-6. This is one of the primary signaling molecules of the immune system and one of the most consistent predictors of biological aging in the research. A study published in the Health and Retirement Study, analyzing over 3,000 adults over 50, found that higher systemic inflammation scores, driven largely by IL-6, were positively associated with accelerated DNA methylation age across 10 of 13 epigenetic clocks. In plain language, more IL-6, older biological age. The third marker is the ratio of your omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids, measurable through a simple blood panel. This ratio reflects the inflammatory balance of your diet over the preceding months. A ratio above 10:1 is consistently associated with pro-inflammatory status. Most adults in Western countries sit between 15 and 20:1. These 3 numbers, hs-CRP, IL-6, and omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, give you a clearer picture of your inflammaging status than most comprehensive blood panels currently ordered. Ask your doctor for them by name. If they don't know what you're asking for, that tells you something important. Why does this happen at this specific window? 2 enzymes are responsible. PARPs increase their activity to repair accumulating DNA damage, consuming NAD+ in the process. CD38, part of your body's inflammatory response, also rises with age and consumes NAD+ as a side effect. It's a resource allocation problem. Your body has more repair work to do and the same NAD+ budget to do it with. Something has to give, and what gives, first and most noticeably, is your energy.
So what does the research say you can actually do to lower your inflammaging markers? I want to connect this to what we've covered across this series, because the interventions aren't separate, they're the same. The gut is the primary driver of inflammaging. We covered this in detail across the last 3 videos. When gut bacteria decline, butyrate production drops, the gut lining weakens, bacterial toxins enter the bloodstream, and your immune system mounts the response that never turns off. Addressing the gut is addressing the fire at its source. Fiber diversity lowers inflammaging. A diet consistently high in diverse plant fibers has been shown to reduce IL-6 and CRP levels, not as a side effect, but as a direct mechanism. The short-chain fatty acids produced by gut bacteria actively suppress NF-κB, the molecular switch that drives chronic inflammatory signaling. Removing ultra-processed foods lowers inflammaging. The emulsifiers, artificial sweeteners, and food additives we covered in the last video directly activate inflammatory pathways, particularly NF-κB signaling. Removing them reduces the inflammatory load measurably within weeks.
Consistent sleep lowers inflammaging. A single night of disrupted sleep has been shown to raise IL-6 levels the following morning. Chronic sleep disruption keeps IL-6 elevated persistently, feeding the same fire we've been tracking across this entire series. Moderate exercise lowers inflammaging. This is one of the most replicated findings in aging research. Consistent cardiovascular exercise reduces CRP and IL-6 over time, not through any complex mechanism, but simply because moving regularly is how the human body was designed to regulate its immune system. None of this is complicated. All of it is consistent. The research keeps pointing to the same behaviors, not because the science is simple, but because the body's needs are.
Let me bring this together and close out what we've been building across this entire series. Your gut is home to 39 trillion microorganisms that regulate your immune system, your hormones, your energy, and your rate of aging. After 35, that ecosystem starts to decline. The bacteria that produce butyrate begin to die off, the gut wall weakens, and the foods most people consider healthy, full of emulsifiers, artificial sweeteners, and industrial additives, accelerate that decline. The consequence of all of it has a name: inflammaging, a low-grade chronic fire burning at the cellular level, producing IL-6, CRP, and TNF-alpha continuously without symptoms, destroying muscle, disrupting hormones, clouding cognition, and aging your biology faster than your calendar reflects. It is measurable, it is modifiable, and it responds consistently across the research to the same things: diverse fiber, whole food, consistent sleep, regular movement, and the removal of the industrial compounds quietly disrupting your gut every single day. This is not a protocol. This is not a supplement list. This is what the science actually says. I've left a link in the description.